viewers, welcome to the Vllow Podcast. I'm Bhavik Kothari. Before I begin, let me give you a brief about Vllow Sports. We are a direct-to-consumer cricket equipment brand. We do focus on premium and customized cricket bats. Please check us out at www.vllowsports.com. So that's www.vllowsports.com. So let's begin, viewers. I'm incredibly excited to have a very unique guest on our platform today. Meet Vikrant Yeligeti. Hi, Vikrant. Thanks
Hi,
for coming
Bhavik.
on to our program.
Hi, Bhavik. Thank you for having me.
So I was thinking of ways to introduce you to our viewers. You have a very eclectic background within all the things that you've done in cricket. But overall, I think you're a product of the Mumbai cricket culture and the cricket ecosystem. You have done a lot and you've given a lot back to the cricket ecosystem here, and I'm sure you benefited a lot from it too. So let's begin. I think we have a lot of things to cover today.
Thank you. Thank you.
But I think a good place to start would be tell us a little bit about your journey as a player. You know, what got you started, who were really influential in your progress as a player. Maybe talk about some of the values that you picked up, because I believe that a lot of the things that players learn and the values you pick up stays with you for a long period of time, if not lifelong. So maybe just take us through your journey as a player.
No, you're right. I mean, I think I started like most of the kids start, just in and around your building, playing with your friends. And from where I came from, it was never about the magnitude of cricket. Like I didn't even know what it meant to sort of play for India. We just watched, and I just wanted to play. That's about it. One of our friends, I think, was very excited one evening. He came up to me and said that I'm going for cricket selections. So I said, what is that about? So he said, no, there is this different type of ball which you see on TV is what they make you play with and practice with. And I was super excited. Till then I only played with plastic and tennis ball. So I said, can I come along? He said, yeah, if you're willing to wait for an entire day in the sun, please do. I said, no issues. I turned up. We went the next day. I didn't know what it was. I didn't have any documents with me. I didn't know. I was the most underprepared of, say, 5,000 kids who turned up there.
How old were you?
I was,
Don't mean
I
to
think,
interrupt.
12 and a half. So, and I hadn't played or even saw a cricket ball, the leather ball, live or in my hands. So, and I walked up and I'm like, okay, they made us stand in the queues and all of that. I was just having fun. We were playing, and it was, I think it was at the Oval Maidan. It was one of the academies called Elf Sarkar Academy. I turned up. The first round I got through. I was super excited. I didn't know what it meant. I didn't know which team I would play for, whatever it is. I had absolutely no idea, neither my friends. Two of us got selected out of 5 people that turned up. Then they asked us to come. They said, we'll make you practice and it'll be for free. We said, for free. We got very excited. We went back home, said that, we've got selected and all of those things. So my dad wasn't much into the sport. My mom, she barely knew anything about cricket. But my uncle was someone who had played for his college. So when he heard, he said, okay, now you need, say, cricket spikes. You need the whites, because back in the day it was just whites. So that evening we went to town around Metro, a lot of cricket shops. Went, bought those, bought the gear. I didn't have pads. I didn't have bat, nothing, because it was super expensive for us to afford. So I rocked up to the academy with all these new clothes, new shoes, and all of those things. And the first morning, they announced that there will be further selections after 7 days. They will shortlist it further down to 15 boys out of 45 odd that they had picked. And at that moment, it struck me that I spent so much money the previous day on
Not
these
knowing
clothes. Yeah.
what's going to happen.
Yeah. I better get selected. So anyway, week later, I was told that, you're not selected. So I said, okay, fair enough. But it didn't hurt me. The selection not happening didn't hurt me. It was just the burden of saying, shit, I bought these clothes. Now what do I do with them? So I went back home. I told my mom, I'm not selected. She's like, yeah, I mean, how does it matter? She didn't know. Then I carried on. I didn't go for any academies. In those summer holidays, I asked my mom whether, 2 months, let me go and sort of join a practice academy. She said, okay, find out where you want to go. We went. The place that we went to, they said that no. They actually said yes, but the fees was too much. So my mom said, look, if you still want to go, we can still put you, but it's going to be for 2 months, and then you have to come back to academics, because I'm from a typical South Indian family. Telugu engineering was the way out for 99% of us. So I joined that academy. 2 months done. Went every day religiously. Got up, took a bus from my house to the academy, came back. Then nothing, school started, so that consumed most of my time. That was in June, and cut to Diwali, there was a friend of my uncle's who came to our buildings. And during Diwali holidays, we used to have like matches between buildings and this and that. So he saw me. He said, he pulled me over and he said, look, I have a friend of mine who coaches in town. There's this club called National Cricket Academy, and he's one of the coaches there. I think he would like you, so I'll speak to him, but you'll have to be very regular about it. I said, I'm okay for that. Next day, we went there. The coach's name was Vidya Paradkar, and he saw me. He said, look, you can come straight away from tomorrow. For the next 1.5 years, I trained with them, and it was one of the most enjoyable experiences of my entire journey. Of just, although it on the face of it, it looked very tough, from Worli to town at 5:30 in the morning, and then coming back while there is peak hour traffic. But when I look back at that phase was just beautiful for me. That showed me, now when I reflect as a coach, that showed me the essence of coaching, like how invested you should be in your students, is what Vidya Paradkar had taught me in my first phase of playing cricket. So again, after about a year and a half, my school selections were announced. I was in a school which had produced the greatest cricketers of all time. So
What's the name?
Sachin Tendulkar, Vinod Kamli, Ajit Agarkar, Praveen Amre, Chandrakant Pandit. There are so many.
So the name escapes me right now. I'm sorry.
Shardashram Vidya Mandir.
Shardashram.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, and they announced selections, and it was just the beginning of June, and the funny part is they do the selections in the month of monsoons.
Oh.
And it's a selection with rubber ball. And it's a famous practice of a couple of schools around that area, that they practice with rubber ball throughout their off season in like mud, wet conditions, and it's the toughest. The first day I go to selections, our coach, Mr. Naresh Churi, he saw me. He said, where do you practice? I told him I practice here, National Cricket Academy. He said, okay, you're joining the team. And that's how my journey started into like leather ball cricket. And then I went on to represent my school, under 16s, under 19s, Mumbai, and all those things. Yeah.
And then first class cricket.
Then first class, and then IPL.
Wow.
Yeah.
So other than your coach, were there any other personalities that you learned a lot from or you benefited from?
So, other than my coaches, to be honest, I think at every juncture of my playing days, and I don't say it for the effect of it, but my immediate family, my dad used to get up at 5:30. On the days that I would get late, he would drop me, wait there, and come back with me. When my brother was around 19, 20, and I would ask him that, I have a big kid bag, can you drop me? He would not hesitate. He would say, okay, yeah, let's sit on the bike, let's go. He would drop me to the airports when we were traveling. My mom would make sure that, when I come back, I had 1.5 hours between practice and school. So she would keep everything ready. And this didn't happen for 1 month or 6 months or something, right? It happened
Years
for
and
5 years, right. 7 years on the stretch. So when I look back, I see these are the little contributions that I know as a brother, as a son, I have the right to overlook, but they just keep coming back to you. They sort of, you sort of start thinking that, without these, I've seen other players or other peers find it so much more difficult
Right.
to even get through 1 week. So as much as when you grow up and when you realize all these things, you sort of start feeling that these are the actual contributors to what you eventually became and because of whom you sort of became what you were. And obviously, after that, once you're a little more independent in that sense, say by the time you're playing first class cricket, you're making your own decisions, you're sort of trying to plan and strategize your own career. That is when your friends come, in the forefront of your life. And I've been truly blessed to have the same set of friends since school, and we've always been, I think, a big part of each other's lives consistently. So they are the people who I rely the most on even now. And I think my family, firstly, was my coaches to understand and give me that platform and be very, very nurturing towards me. I think that sort of, for the personality that I am, which I realize now, that if someone shows a little bit of investment in me, I feel that much more charged and good about myself. And then the efforts double up. Then whatever it is, it just gets the best out of me. Then it was my immediate family and then my friends. So they've all been a part of my entire journey and a really big part. So yeah.
That's awesome. So this might be a good second to let's talk about the Mumbai cricketing ecosystem or the culture that I've had the benefit of seeing it in the past few weeks.
Yeah.
And having interacted with a few other parents who bring their kids to practice and whatnot. The one consistent thing I hear from all of them is, we've seen cricket in other cities or other regions, but Mumbai is definitely different. So let's maybe talk about what makes Mumbai. Is it more the history and the culture, or it seems like everyone, coaches, players, everyone seems a bit more invested in making Mumbai cricket better?
I think being a part of the administration right now, also being a player who's played for Mumbai, from the administration's perspective, what sets Mumbai apart is just the culture to win, And I've heard people repeatedly say this. I'm sure you must have heard it also, that anything than a title is not a great season for Mumbai. And that is the DNA. That's within the DNA of every cricketer that plays for Mumbai. If you don't win the title, it's not good enough. I think playing the sport in that true sense requires you to play it really hard, prepare really hard. So any cricketer on that field wearing a Mumbai jersey will go through the ranks of, really tough situations, facing really tough calls early on, uh, would probably be questioned about his talent, his uh, his determination towards the game, his sincerity towards the game. Once all of that is done, you have to come out of it and then show people enough belief that you're there for the right reasons, you're there to win, you're there to contribute, and you're there to take Mumbai cricket and cricket in general ahead. So all of these things are always, always part of the conversations from the administration, which sort of trickles down to every part of Mumbai cricket, be it your maidans, be it your clubs, be it your school, everywhere. So if I were to give a context about a player coming into, say, an age group Mumbai side,
Yeah.
you can't get into the top probables of 35 without getting 300s. So that's the standard out of, say, whatever season number of games that you play.
This is club cricket. Maybe
This
help,
is-
help
this
our
is-
viewers understand
yes.
the entire Mumbai structure.
Correct. So in age group cricket, there is you play for your individual schools, your colleges. Then Mumbai Cricket Association also organizes these summer camps, and they made it so logistically convenient for everyone to be inclusive about playing the sport, is that there are 20 centers across Mumbai and stretching toward till Palghar Dhanu and Kalyan, Dombivli. So they don't have to travel. The
Oh, okay.
biggest pain point of traveling with a young child in Bombay is they've taken that out.
Oh, okay, good.
So it has reached the interiors. They practice there. The best of the facilities are given to them, and Mumbai trained, MCA trained coaches, BCCI trained coaches are the ones who are appointed, and they take those courses, those camps, and there is an open selection held. So regionally, whoever qualifies and is eligible to be in that setup or that particular center can go there with their birth certificates when the selection date is announced, give their selections, and then if they're selected, they get to train for 2 months with that coach and then be a part of that particular team which takes part in the Mumbai Summer Camp Tournament, which is your first entry point into playing age group cricket of Mumbai.
So to get into like a Mumbai under 14, Mumbai under 16.
16s and under 19s.
So represent Mumbai.
Mumbai.
Okay.
And this happens in the summer holidays
Okay.
of 2 months. So you practice, you play games, and on the basis of the performances in that particular tournament, the selectors who go and watch every single game of that, probables list of about 30-35 players is picked. And from that 35 list of players will practice at MCA BKC during the off season, and they're given the best of the facilities in terms of training indoors, nutrition's taken care of, physiotherapists are there, any injuries, SNC coaches are there to train under them. For 3 to 4 months they'll train there, and then there is fresh selection of, say, picking the main team, and then again they'll go and represent the Mumbai team in the national tournaments by BCCI.
So is there like a first 11, a second 11 from the 35, or just the 14 or 15?
Just the
are selected?
15.
15.
But what they also do, and they've been doing in the past couple of years, is they'll travel before all the 35 players will travel outdoors and have a camp.
Okay.
And they'll play another team from that particular zone or that particular state where they're traveling to, similar age group. They'll make teams and play and consider that as selection tournament or a selection game
Okay.
for whoever's part of that circuit of 35 players, and on the basis of those performances they'll select the oncoming 15 or 17 or 18, whatever it is.
So by the time a player goes through the entire gamut of playing, school level cricket or club level cricket to actually being selected to represent Mumbai, they have gone through a lot in terms of their training, their nutrition, their strength and conditioning, the coaching assistance that they get. By the time you reach at that point, you're ready to represent Mumbai.
No, absolutely. I think, and that keeps on going, and that's part of every season that you want to make it to that 35 or 15 or 11. The process doesn't change; it just gets a little more intense from there on, from age group to senior men's. But yeah, the time and the effort and the planning that MCA takes to arrange all of this is phenomenal. For a player to, from my understanding, for a player to miss out, for a good player to miss out in the current administration is very rare. If a player is getting runs, getting wickets, he will be very, very easily noticed and directly drafted in, whether it be mid-season, whether it be pre-season, whether it be anywhere. Because there's so many games happening, and there's so many games that are watched by the selectors. It's unbelievable, the reach. And also in the digital age, it's very easy to track. Even if you're not there, you can sort of look online for videos or live games and all those things. It's become really easy and convenient for people to actually notice. So, and I think from a player's perspective, if going back to originally what you asked, what sort of differentiates Mumbai cricket?
Yeah.
It is, one is that the culture and the legend of Mumbai cricket, right? There's a lot to play for. When you're representing this team, you know that there have been absolute greats of the game that have played for the same team that you will be playing for. And just the sort of intensity in the competition that we see to play for Mumbai and the pride that it carries behind it is something that you don't see happening easily anywhere. And that's why I guess they're the champions for 42 times.
Many years.
Yeah.
So it seems like because of the history and the culture and how seriously cricket has been taken up in Mumbai, right from leadership to everyone in the administration, to selectors, to players, everyone feels pride and honored to continue the legacy that has been set and continue to make Mumbai cricket better and better, which makes it very, very hard for others. I know many other centers have tried to catch up, and the gap has, I'm sure, definitely narrowed. But Mumbai cricket still is the pinnacle.
No, I completely agree with the point that with BCCI reaching tier 2, tier 3 cities, and when you see the growth that they've had is phenomenal. I think it's all the credit goes to BCCI and the people working for that sort of direction. But by saying that, I have seen players come out of different states, and there have been phenomenal players who, some of them went on to represent India. But at the end of the day, I think if you look at Ranji Trophy in isolation, it's a championship which is spread across minimum of 3 months. This year it spread across about 4.5, 5 months. To be successful at winning a championship which will last for so long, you need to really have a very cohesive unit of 15, 20 players. You need to have a coaching unit and the selection unit which understands different challenges that will come across in different stages of those 4.5, 5 months. And you'll have to plan ahead for all of those challenges. For someone who will understand all of these, who understands the different challenges that will come across in the third game of a league stage, bowling rotation, workloads, all those things, and you plan ahead. I think just by the sheer experience of, you know, being familiar to those 11 games and the journey of 11 games of that entire championship, Mumbai will always have that advantage. Mumbai can always plan way ahead and say, okay, in the 7th game, we might face this. In the 10th game, we might face this. In knockouts, we need a certain kind of characters in the team who would show up on that day and say, you know, in difficult situations, they'll put their hands up and say that, you know, today it's my turn. So the whole journey is to identify the challenges and the people who you can put in the front and say, perform. So from a selector's perspective, that is what I try as hard as I can to try and make that distinction and say, in this particular game, we'll need certain kind of skills. So which candidate suits that job better? And it just requires a little bit of planning ahead of time. And because Mumbai has been in those situations collectively, all the selectors, the administration, the coaching unit, the players themselves, they are a little more familiar to those feelings of uncertainty, feelings of overwhelming, you know, and that creates a little bit of an edge when they are on the field, and a team which is for the first, second, third time is on the ground. I think that is where, when we call these crucial games being the game of nerves, whoever keeps the nerves, I think invariably Mumbai has proven statistically that they kept their nerves better than most of the others.
You know, I had the benefit of being able to watch one of these games last year in the Ranji season. I think Mumbai was in a bit of a tough situation against Tamil Nadu. Was it the semi-final, I think?
Yeah.
And lost a few wickets, and then the bottom order came and rescued. So I got to watch that game in person, and it was fascinating to actually watch what you just described. What was also interesting, because this was in the MCA club at BKC, there were a lot of members in the audience, right, in the club that were actually out there to watch the game, and even like general crowd had come in just to watch that game. So which is pretty fascinating. Yeah. Now I haven't seen like other Ranji games in other centers, but that I must say is somewhat unique. The games actually have some crowds that come in to watch.
I think that's been Mumbai's history. I remember one of the games that I had gone, I don't know which year it was, I don't remember. I just have a very vivid memory of the crowds. Vinod Kamli was playing, it was back in the day. And he had come into bat just before lunch. And there were about 500 people in the stands. As soon as the news got out that Vinod Kamli is batting not out in lunch, post-lunch, there were about 7,000 people in the stands.
In the stands watching.
Yeah. So I think it's always been there. The passion that every Mumbaiker carries for their team is unbelievable. And the following of the players themselves is huge. A lot of people know them by name. They must not have seen them, but they definitely know them by name. The playing 11, the reserves sitting outside, all of those guys. And coming back to the match that I think it was Shardul who got 100.
And
Tanush Kotian, I guess.
Tanush Kotian, yeah.
Have been there. They've been the saviors of even this year, the batting order.
Yeah.
Shardul, Shams, Tanush Kotian, ran phenomenally well for Bombay. I think that's what, sort of emphasizes what I'm trying to say here is, that, the first 3-4 wickets we can lose out, or the first hour we can lose out to a individual brilliance to another team, but then they'll have to have 11 strong individuals to challenge a team like Bombay. So they have to have their A game on that particular day for 4 days to beat a team like Bombay. So they'll carry that extra pressure when they come into play against Bombay, which is quite evident in the way they'll they'll take certain decisions and all those things. So that for me is like the essence of what the grit and character of Mumbai cricket is.
Yeah. And you alluded to this a little bit, and you've been very humble. But one of your key roles, as part of being in the Mumbai cricket ecosystem, is selection in Ranji. And if I remember this correctly, it's the senior men's and under 23, both teams. So maybe take us through that role, and how do you see it? And is there anything unique that you brought to the table in terms of that role?
To start off with how I see it, right? I think I've also been the selector for Mumbai under 19s for the past 4 years before I took up this. I think what sat as a strong realization for me was, at the end of the day, you are responsible for a young athlete's career, perhaps his life, how it's going to look like in the next 3, 5, 10 years. So every decision that you take needs to stem from that. Not overburdening yourself, but have a realization that that is going to be your major responsibility. And no one's going to tell you that. You have to realize it for yourself. And that is what I sort of try to remember every day in that sense. But now, when I see what I did different is, I don't know if it was different or not. I think it was done. What I tried to bring in is clear communication between the selection group and the team. So try and be that sort of link between the selection committee, the administration, and the players. So the players also feel that they're kept in the loop. When you take strong decisions, you have to take the guidance or an opinion of some of the senior players in the team. Because at the end of the day, our goals need to be aligned. We're all playing for that championship. We're all playing for that title. That being said, you also, as one of the selectors or as a part of the selection committee, the biggest responsibility for us is obviously winning the championship, but also have one eye on the future, where you're looking to build that team and create the right kind of culture by showing that culture in the decisions that you take. So be it discipline, be it say the grit that we've spoken about, try and identify that, and not just optical brilliance or one-off optical brilliance that you see. Try and plan ahead for these moments, as I said. And with your actions, try and create, as I said, the culture where people feel that, oh, if I play for the team and if I take this team forward, I have a great shot at it. So we had youngsters coming in this season. We had a clear policy of saying that we need to invest in youngsters and not look at returns from them this early in their career. Out of 5, 3 will give us, 2 may not. But that doesn't mean they're not good enough. They're not good enough right now, but we see that they're dominating in their levels. We have given them the promotion to come and represent the senior team. We need to be patient with them. So that going through that journey of a young player coming into the system and adapting to all those things, I think your patience is sort of challenged in those moments. And being patient and having that communication is something that I've pressed on and, try to remind myself that you need to keep doing this. And that is more or less how I see the entire job fit in.
Yeah, because it's very, sometimes it's very easy to focus on the current result that everyone's, aiming for, and lose sight of the future. So that balance between both is very important. Seems like you recognize that, and you tend to make sure the emphasis or enough emphasis tends to stay on identifying young talent coming in and growing and nurturing them.
No, absolutely. I think a year before this, we had a lull of 2 years. I think if we were consistent enough to plan ahead and say we need to bring in youngsters or any skill set that you think is required in this playing 11, and have a time goal for them and define a time goal for them, saying that, okay, we are using a certain talent as a stopgap arrangement. Fair, but be clear with that. We are using a certain talent or a skill set for, say, 3 to 5 years. We know that they're going to stay at this level, play season on season, white ball, red ball, make that distinction, let them be there. And then also have a strong sort of conviction about the players that you're backing for going the long rope, for going that long distance, for maybe playing for India and really backing them. So we did that with a couple of our boys, I think more than two. There was Ayush Matre, who played for Mumbai, played for India under 19s, did really well there. And there was Ankrish Raghuvanshi, who had already played for India, now has made his first class debut. And there is Suryan Shedke. So these 2-3 names are something that the whole of Mumbai is excited about, along with us. And we are proud that, we gave them those opportunities to sort of make their name and grow it even bigger.
That's awesome. Again, a good seg into talking about mentoring and helping players, because I know you do that a lot, both in terms of your role as in the selection committee, but even to some extent outside of it. Going back to the coach that you mentioned that you trained under, who you mentioned, took coaching very seriously and seemed very invested and saw that as a very important responsibility. It seems like that has come naturally to you, where you now, I'm sorry, you tend to now impart your knowledge and motivate and help young players outside of even your current role.
So, yeah, I mean, once you're in the system, you invariably interact with young talent every now and then. But as far as I look at it, it's I've realized that it's come from a very personal space. It's got to do with how I ended my career. So I stopped playing cricket because my action all of a sudden was not legitimate. So I had to find answers. And this happened in Ranji Trophy. So, and I was 25. And I had to find answers. I went everywhere, all across India, consulted one of the finest of the coaches. It took a lot of time for me to realize that it's not something that I can fix. It's not something that anyone can fix. But what came out of it was a deep understanding that as a coach or as a mentor, you need to have a fundamental understanding of how the sport is played, be it technical, be it mental, or be it tactical. Since you mentioned my coach, I think his greatest asset was I don't know if it was because he was so invested or because he was so empathetic in general that he was so invested. So whenever he said something or suggested something, it just seemed like it came from a place of concern. So that why I'm trying to highlight this is because as a student of his, I never questioned it. I always surrendered to what he said. And this was not someone, and I was not someone who would easily surrender to anyone. Like I wasn't that personality. I would question, I would have questions in my head. But with him, it was just a different relationship. It was a lot of trust. So for me, when I speak to young athletes now, it's first to build that trust between each other with actions, with understanding where they're at, genuinely listening to their problems and understanding what they're actually feeling about it. And then from a coach's perspective, try and differentiate emotions from the entire objectivity of the situation. Because most of the times when they'll speak to you with a lot of emotion and very less objectivity. So you try to, within those conversations, you try and separate the emotions and the objectivity and be more clear about, oh, then it's easier for me to identify what is going on and then assert myself on that particular part. So especially the generation that we're dealing with right now, you'll have to be a little more empathetic. You'll have to, and they're more smarter from what our generation was and probably the previous generations. They are more emotional. They are more emotionally expressive. They'll express what they feel. I don't think we had that liberty. We never felt that liberty to express our emotions that freely. I think this generation does. So, which according to me is something that I can use. So for me, it's a good thing to notice what is happening if someone is expressive in that sense. So I try to pick up on these things and try and understand the human being for what they are, and from the homes that they come in, different situations that they'll come in, different problems, different set of problems with each individual, each families. Try and have a little bit of an understanding. Then my last part would be to sort of say, okay, this is my suggestion. After having all of these things figured out, then I would probably come up with a suggestion. Until that, it's just about listening to them and understanding where the problem is, what the problem is. Then we can try and sit down together and have conversations about what is happening, what the problem could be. But to me, this role as a selector or as someone who helps out youngsters is more of understanding what the exact nature of the problem is at a emotional and at a technical level, which more often than not, each of these aspects of the game help you figure out what exactly could be the problem.
Right. And given your role, I'm sure you know a lot of players because you've seen them play. You've followed them, as you mentioned. Follow the scores or watch videos. So you already know a bit about them. So and in the selection process or in general, you're trying to keep an eye out for talent or future potential or capabilities. What are some of the things that you're observing and you're keeping it in your mind as you build like a database for each player in terms of what are their strengths, what are some of the things they need to work on?
Yeah, no. So firstly, it's always dependent on what age we're looking at the talent from, right? So if he's say 12, 13, or say perhaps 9, 10, you sort of look at them and try and identify the elementary skill sets. How's their motor coordination? How's their eyes and hands moving, feet moving? Are they able to hit the ball where they want to? So very elementary things, right? As you go ahead and for a 13-year-old, 14-year-old, one thing that stands out in Mumbai cricket in general is you get identified at that age. You start making a name for yourself within the system where everyone's noticing you, is the amount of runs that you're scoring, right? It's practically impossible to, for me, being a senior men's selector to go and watch an under 14 boy, but you still hear those names. You still hear those names in your fraternity, in your circles, that this boy is doing well. It's the magnitude of runs. Then comes, if I were to go for an under 16 selections, it's mainly when you look at a player in the nets and select them, it's almost a dry process for me.
Yeah.
It's you're looking at something within controlled space, comfortable space. So you don't know how that's going to sort of fan out in your actual match scenario. Ideally, for me, I would like to look at them when they're playing a game and see what sort of, if it's a batter, what sort of runs they are getting, in the sense that what situations they're going in, how the playing conditions were, what the team's situation was, from where were they able to dominate, or was it a scratchy innings, or multiple factors like that. But one thing, if I have to tell you, is that sort of almost supersedes all of this is, has the player helped his particular team win championships with their performances? If the answer is yes, invariably that player is playing for all the top teams. So that tells you a lot of things, that the performances are very crucial, very important, and very dominant.
At any point, did you have to take any tough decision as a selector, or have to have like a tough conversation with the player, because you thought that was the right thing for the team, to be able to carry forward in terms of achieving its goal? Has there been a situation like that?
Yeah, recently we had to drop a player for various reasons, and since I'm very keen on keeping the communication lines open and clear, so that when certain decisions, especially decisions like these, are taken, it can be misconstrued by a lot of people in the middle. So I wanted to make it very clear to the player that for what reasons he's being dropped and what is expected out of him, and what we will be looking at for him to come back. Made it very clear so that the player is not second guessing himself, going back home and thinking, oh, why? I don't even know why. He knows exactly why and what can be done for him to come back into the team. So yeah, I think these decisions are tough, but I think they come at the time when you have enough resolve in terms of information, in terms of stats. They give you enough resolve for you to sort of take those decisions. And when you are a team of 5 selectors, there's opinions, there's agreements, there's disagreements. But if you have the backing of data, if you have backing of information, you can always sort of put your opinion forward and say, this is why, and I'm open for disagreements. And when we took that decision, it was, I think, unanimous. So yeah.
I think it's very interesting that, and you mentioned how important communication was with that player, not just in terms of what was lacking or why that decision was made, but also what can be done or needs to be done for the player to continue to stay in consideration in future and also potentially come back. It gives, again, going back to the Mumbai cricket culture, it gives a lot of comfort and confidence to the player because he has a clear understanding of what needs to be done.
Yeah, no, true. But I think that was something that I don't think it's been a part of Mumbai cricket before this. You were expected to just read your name in the papers and then be okay with it. If you're dropped, you were not communicated, the message wasn't conveyed. But as I said, the generation is different. And the beauty of Mumbai cricket is that it's ready to evolve. and it's been evolving at the rate at which every association, every probably city or state should evolve. And I think when you do that, I think these changes can be incorporated very, very easily. And that's why I mentioned the administration is something which has given us the freedom to sort of be progressive in our mindsets and say that take those decisions, we are ready to back you. If you have enough validation, enough substantial reasons behind it, please go ahead, present those reasons and take those decisions. And communicating to the players is something, as I said, I wanted to do it very actively for myself and to set that culture in the, say, selection committees. I took that responsibility upon myself to go and do that, which is tough, is nerve-wracking in that sense, to break out that news to the player and you be the bearer of the bad news. But I guess certain tough calls and tough messages you need to deliver.
And if I had to venture, I think you're on the younger side of the selection committee, which doesn't make it easy. But at the same time, if one's in that role and one's taken up the responsibility, the onus is on you to make things better and make it evolve, right? And set certain precedents so that people coming in future carry the legacy forward.
Yeah, no, true, absolutely. I think just to get in a different mindset also helps when in the room, if you have selectors who've played in similar eras, and especially with the way white ball is being played, you have to bring in a fresh perspective who, not just me, like anyone, who's played that sport and has an understanding of what people are thinking. For instance, we do emphasize a lot on red ball cricket, but just the fact that a youngster who's watching IPL every night, starting now in April and May, at 15, 16, it would be very unfair for us to expect him to like red ball cricket better than white ball or T20 cricket, especially with the kind of money that IPL is bringing in, which is a fact. You can't run away from it, right? So it's not unnatural for someone to get absolutely fan-eyed about white ball and IPL and different leagues and all those things. You have to acknowledge those facts and say that, okay, these things are happening. You will see those reverse sweeps. You will see those scoops coming out, even in a Ranji Trophy game.
Yeah.
So you'll have to fight your own stigmas in that sense to make sense of all of this and be patient with that. I think for me, who's played 2020 cricket, makes it slightly easier to understand what the players are thinking about and why they've played that shot in a 4-day format. They want to have options, they want to dominate the game and all those things. So it becomes easier for me to understand what the player is going through and also try and convince my counterparts to sort of see it from that lens, convince them to sort of give a little bit of perspective on what is happening in, say, an 18-year-old's mind or a 15-year-old's mind, how they're looking at cricket. Right. So it helps. It definitely helps. But yeah, being the junior also has its downsides. But I think if you're prepared enough, you can make a strong presence out of it.
Right. And, given the reality of sports in general, but cricket in particular, the pyramid is narrow and, a lot of kids in their youth start playing and you see that those numbers kind of go down over time. And at some point, parents, players have to make those decisions in terms of when to maybe focus less on cricket and more on, academics or other things or other strengths. So yeah, those are some of the tough decisions that players or parents have to make. White ball cricket to some extent helps negate that, right? Because for a lot of kids, there is a shot at IPL beyond just the India team, or there is a shot at playing Mumbai Premier League, which we've had 2 seasons of, and it's we're going to have the third season soon. So, yeah, the cricket is also evolving from that standpoint, and one has to keep up with that.
No, absolutely, and I think it's evolving, and it's here to stay, right? That format is here to stay. That format is helping cricketers, stakeholders, the audiences. It's just a better product in value, isn't it? So it's going to stay, and we have to. I don't think there is any resistance to it anymore in the cricket fraternities. I think everyone's obviously seen the scale at which it has reached. So just the fact, for me personally, just the fact that someone who could not play Ranji Trophy cricket 10 years back would have no other option, would have left cricket by 21, 22, maybe 24 if they're lucky. I think with IPL, with the leagues of different states, leagues happening in different countries, they give that another sort of hope, or a level of hope, or a stream to sort of make money out of the game that you love playing and the career that you want to pursue and keep doing. Plus the jobs around it. I think with IPL itself, there are so many jobs around IPL, not just for the cricketers who are playing in it, but the management roles, there are logistical roles, there are support staff roles. So in itself, it's such a big product in value that it creates so much of employment, interesting employment around it, a lot of people who play the sport and have to give up at a certain stage, or had to give up at a certain stage in their life, can also now look back and saying that, okay, there are different ways to be affiliated with the sport now, and they can do that. So for instance, we've had so many people who are now the sidearm specialists in different teams, right from the IPL teams to the WPL teams to the Ranji Trophy teams with the under-19s, everywhere. So that this job never existed. I think this is only a product of money coming into the sport through IPL, and that trickling down to different areas of sport. So I think it's a great thing, and as you rightly mentioned, that it gives that another layer of hope for someone who wants to keep pursuing playing that game.
Right. So we've talked about a lot of things. I know one thing that is relevant in terms of your cricketing life is your friendship with Abhishek Nair.
Yeah.
Maybe talk about that. I know he's a very unique coach, brings a lot of unique perspectives to his way of coaching, and right from Rohit Sharma, Dinesh Karthik to Ankush Raghuvanshi and many more in future, they've all benefited quite a bit from him. And you share a special friendship with him. So maybe talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so no, I've known Abhishek since school days, and we've been friends since then. So yeah, every big milestones in life, been through each other's side, cricketing journey, personal journey, all of those things. As a friend, I think he's one of those people in my life who I would not have to even pick up the phone and tell him. He would know. He would know this is wrong, and he would know that some opportunities coming up somewhere, he would, before asking me, he would recommend that name, and he'll tell me that this is a good opportunity for you. You should do this. So in a whole way, to sum it up, we've had like absolute tough days individually. He's had his, I've had mine. But the set of friends that we are part of a group with Abhishek, me, Sahil, Sushant, Shemal, Bhavin. We've been there through, and it's time tested. So it's been about 20-25 years that we've known each other. We've traveled in the same cars, going to practice, coming back, going on tours, going on holidays, now holidays with our families, working together, all these things. When it, you also mentioned about him being a coach to all these boys. Again, the trust that they have in him is a representation of how invested he is in them, how well he knows them, how much of an effort that he has to take behind the scenes to gather every piece of information, to arrange every single thing logistically. And he does that day in, day out, just out of sheer involvement towards someone doing something good for someone else. And that is seen by the fraternity now. And that's what sets him apart. That's when, even when you described, you said different ways of doing things. It's just about knowing that person to a deeper level and understanding what will work is something that fuels what he then devises in his head to put a plan and say, this is what is going to happen. This is what will work for you. On the face of it, you'll see no one would think of such unconventional things. But because he's done his research on how the person is, have a deep understanding of what he's feeling, what is needed, he puts a plan together and says, this is exactly what we'll do. Be it conventional, be it unconventional. The biggest strength that he possesses is very empathetic. Thinks a lot about how certain things make someone feel or may make them feel, has a strong conviction about his own beliefs. So he'll always follow through with what he believes, what he says. And I think he is one of the strongest and the sharpest minds in and around cricket in today's date. Very, very detailed, and you throw in extreme hard work on top of that. It's the best mind and will to work the hardest. I think it's a very, very, very potent combination that he has, because he's always been someone who's worked really hard at his game. No one considered, and I know this, and I can say this very openly, that no one considered him to be really, really talented. So he always had to work hard.
Yeah.
To acquire a different skill, add a different skill to his game. Worked really hard on his fitness because he was a batting medium pace all-rounder. And did that season on season. Again, someone with great amount of grit. Went in for Bombay in difficult situations, bailed them out multiple amount of times in big ticket games. And that has reflected, or that has sort of stayed with him in his life post-cricket as well. For a coach, he will be the hardest working man on the ground. He will be the first one in, last one out, on his feet throughout. No breaks in the middle. And when these boys come in and they see him working so hard, when you see your coach working so hard and so with operating at such high energy levels, you have no excuse. So I guess that's why he's one of the best right now in the business. So, yeah.
So comes across as someone with a tough exterior, but it seems like he has a lot of empathy. Yeah. He understands or makes an attempt to understand the player and him having gone through everything that he has from a cricketing perspective, he can not only relate to the players a lot better, but can also help them, improve their game.
Absolutely. You got it absolutely right, because obviously I've seen him as a friend and as a coach on the field. It's not too different though. He's, I think, understands human personalities really well and very fast. So he can pick up on certain things that I don't think a normal coach would. So he would understand, or almost at times predict, what a player is going to do or how is he feeling, or preempt certain things that may trigger certain actions. So it's almost like having the power of intuition and that coming through every single time. But this is acquired knowledge, if you ask me, just understanding of the human personality to a deeper level. And he uses that really well when he puts together a plan for any individual, or for an entire team, or for an entire academy. So yeah.
Well, Vikrant, we've talked a whole lot about many different topics. This has been really, really insightful, very, very informative. I've learned a lot. I'm sure our viewers have learned a lot. So thank you for taking the time and doing this. And I know you have a long career in cricket ahead, so we'll have to do one in another few years to catch up on the new things that you're going to work on in future.
No, it's been absolute pleasure. I think just revisiting old times through conversations, I think it was fantastic. Yeah. Also speaking about friends, family, sort of hits that nerve and makes you feel good about things, that you've done something right. But yeah, this was great for me. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Thank you.